The pregnant woman ran every
go
day
home,
to
girl.
deliver meals to her husband.
I
Just
want my
because she
baby
was black,
warm.
she
Do with a
believed
pair of
her
those
athletic
booties, Mr.
genes
This
were better than
country.
others. As soon as her husband came home, Jenny would pull him up to dance, or else she couldn't fall asleep. But
Calypso,
tragedy
baby.
often begins
She
just
knows
like
where
this.
she come.
One day,
Like she
Jenny
dance
suddenly
herself.
noticed the baby wasn't moving. When the midwife arrived, she found the fetus
Something
had
is
no
alright
heartbeat.
now.
She quickly called for an ambulance. Thankfully, they got to the hospital in time,
sounds
and the baby's
different.
heartbeat
They
came
made
back.
me have a-
But it wasn't long
Back
before
into
Jenny
bed,
got
please.
bored
I
of
was
staying
going
in the
to the
hospital.
bathroom.
She actually snuck back home,
I don't
insisting
want to
on
go
giving
back to the
birth there.
hospital.
A few days later, she began having
Can I
contractions.
stay here?
The midwife
So he'll know
performed a
we've made our
prenatal
minds up.
checkup. The baby's heartbeat was fine,
The
and the
normal
baby
Nurse
was in the
Gilbert.
right position.
Dr.
Jenny was
Mike
fully
Packing will
capable
like
of
it, so
delivering
he'll know
naturally
we've-
with help from 2 midwives. She gave birth to a baby girl. But then something terrifying happened. Jenny had
Why
given
isn't
birth
she
to a
crying?
stillborn. The midwives couldn't believe their eyes. Jenny didn't hear the baby cry and immediately asked what was going on.
Baby must have been very poorly in the womb, Abigail. She hasn't been able to breathe for us.
Jenny was shocked and couldn't believe it. All the tests had shown everything was fine. How could the baby have died? Unable to accept it, Jenny broke down in tears. The midwife carried the baby girl out of the room.
Is that
Seeing
my
Jenny's
little
husband
dancer?
waiting in the living room,
It was
full
a
of
little girl.
anticipation, the midwife didn't know what to say. She placed the baby on the sink. The man instantly understood what had happened. Tears streamed down his face. Meanwhile,
won't
Jenny,
stop.
who had just given birth,
Yes.
began to have
And her baby
contractions
trapped in
again.
the cervix.
midwife thought the placenta was stuck in the cervix, but the doctor sensed
I
something
need to
was
exam-
wrong. After examining her, he was stunned to discover Jenny still had
Undiagnosed
another baby
twins.
inside. She was carrying twins. Although the baby girl born
reason you
earlier
felt
was a
a change of
stillbirth,
mood-
the other baby still had a heartbeat.
At just 16, the girl was kicked out by her biological parents right after giving birth. She quickly found herself a foster mother and was living a pretty good life. But Jenny just couldn't learn her lesson. After being abandoned by her baby's father, she soon hooked up with a neighbor boy. Her foster mom was furious and nearly lost her mind. The two often snuck out on dates, leaving all the childcare duties to her. The foster mom constantly complained to the nurse. She didn't want another grandchild in her life. She regretted being fooled by Jenny's sweet appearance. Jenny didn't even know how to hold a baby.
Go easy, Carol. It's not a sack of potatoes.
Out of fear that Jenny would be abandoned again, the nurse started teaching her how to care for the baby. But Jenny looked annoyed and even said the baby came to collect a debt. The nurse couldn't understand why she'd think like that.
When Dean cries, he's communicating. So he's telling you that he's hungry or wet, cold.
Her words made Jenny feel a little guilty. She knew she wasn't a good mother. Meanwhile, her foster mom's patience had completely run out. She said there were boys knocking on their door every day. Neighbors constantly complained about them. The foster mom had had enough of Jenny. That night, Jenny was kicked out of the house. Fortunately, the government gave her a place to stay. She also received a monthly maternity subsidy. The nurse hoped she would start using birth control. After all, Jenny was only 16 and absolutely shouldn't get pregnant again before marriage. Jenny felt like the nurse was looking down on her.
I'm done with boys. Honest.
But it didn't take long before she started seeing boys again. She asked the nurse to watch her baby while she went out to have fun. The head nurse warned the midwife not to let her sympathy get out of control. They were midwives, not babysitters. Jenny didn't come home until late at night. That's when she suddenly told her boyfriend she was pregnant. To her shock, he immediately kicked her out of the car and drove off without a word. Jenny was in utter disbelief. A pregnant woman's husband was attracted to men. One night, he sneaked into a public restroom. The other man pushed him away and blew a whistle. Police who were waiting nearby quickly moved in. The man raised his hands in fear, shouting, "It's a misunderstanding." He begged the police to let him go. The police silently took him away. When Jenny heard her husband was arrested, she refused to believe it.
I'm afraid your husband was caught with another man. He's at the police station. He'll go before the magistrate tomorrow.
He wouldn't do that. He's not that way.
Mrs. Amos, could I fetch someone who could help?
My dad. I want my dad.
Still, Jenny insisted her husband was being framed. It wasn't until her husband confessed and said he had to go to court that Jenny was shocked. The men begged a doctor to testify in his defense. For the sake of their child, he said he absolutely couldn't go to prison. The nurses all disliked the men. Some even suggested throwing stones at him to punish the men who hurt his wife. But Jenny clung to hope. She believed her husband only made a mistake once.
And it was just once, wasn't it?
On the trial day, the police presented the details of the case in court. The man was supposed to serve 2 years in prison. The doctor promised to help him recover. The judge gave a suspended sentence. For the child's sake, the men decided to cooperate with treatment. The story quickly made headlines in the newspapers. Neighbors publicly shamed Jenny, saying people like her should just stay home. Her husband was fired from his job and lost his only income. All the resentment and anger Jenny had been holding inside finally exploded. No wonder her husband was so clean and only kissed her with his eyes closed. Jenny wondered if she had been blind, thinking she had found her Prince Charming. The men admitted the truth.
And I hate myself for it. And I'm sorry.
He had hated himself for a long time but felt powerless to change. Jenny ordered him to accept punishment and get treatment. For the child's sake, he was not allowed to go anywhere. One day, the man dressed neatly and lied to his wife, saying he was going to the hospital for treatment, but he secretly went to the garage instead. Jenny came home from grocery shopping. She found insulting words written all over the door. Her water broke right then and there. The nurses quickly arrived at Jenny's home. The baby was eager to come out. The man put one end of a tube into the car's exhaust pipe. He put the other end inside the car and started the engine. A blind pregnant woman arrived at the hospital.
Is your doctor sympathetic? I don't want one that isn't.
She said she had transferred from another clinic because the previous doctors were impatient with her. During the checkup, Jenny told the nurse that she had a condition called retinitis pigmentosa. She had been blind since birth. Everyone around her said she couldn't be a mother, but she didn't believe that. The nurse began teaching Jenny how to care for a newborn. While bathing a practice doll, Jenny dropped the soap on the floor. She fumbled around for a long time before finally finding it. In the next moment,
Can do it. I'm just nervous because you're watching me.
You just need more practice.
on the day of delivery, Jenny gave birth to a beautiful baby girl with her husband by her side. Though she couldn't see, she could feel everything with her hands. The nurse suggested her husband apply for domestic help. Only then could Jenny keep the baby, but Jenny refused. To protect her dignity, her husband worked during the day and cared for the baby at night. He was pushed to the brink of a breakdown.
What's the harm in having someone in to help?
No, it's giving in.
You're making this harder than it already is.
You know what to do then.
One day, Jenny accidentally poured hot water on her hand. As the baby cried, Jenny quickly searched for her. She finally reached the crib and held her baby tightly in her arms. The nurse arrived soon after and carefully treated Jenny's burn. Her husband apologized. He comforted her and said, "Accepting help doesn't mean we're bad parents." Jenny finally agreed. The nurse took them to visit another woman's home. She was also blind, but had raised 3 children successfully. Each child wore a bell, so she could always know where they were. As for changing diapers, that was easy too. Once full, the diaper would slip down to their ankles. The woman also suggested that Jenny label all medications with Braille. Asking for help when needed, she said, is the best thing you can do for your child.
The woman wanted to have an abortion, but the doctor told her it was illegal. He said feeling pain and anxiety after getting pregnant was normal, and that she should just find someone to talk to. There was no way he could help Jenny with the procedure. Even the nurse advised her to stay positive and keep the baby.
Are women not allowed to want things or not want things? I thought it was meant to be different for us, that we were going to be able to choose.
But Jenny didn't want to become like her own mother, a woman who had 8 children she couldn't afford to raise. So she sent them all to live with relatives, where Jenny grew up enduring endless ridicule and humiliation. She had fought her whole life just to give her kids a better future. One day, Jenny broke open her piggy bank, took out the money she had saved, and went to a private clinic to end the pregnancy. It wasn't until the early hours of the morning that she stumbled out, holding the wall for support. Jenny forced herself to walk home, and when her husband showed concern, she lied and said she had just overexerted herself while working out. The next day, she still dragged herself to work. But that evening, when her husband came home, he found the house in a mess. The baby had wet himself and no one had cleaned it up. Panicked, he ran into the bedroom, and saw Jenny lying on the bed, trembling uncontrollably. He touched her forehead. She was burning up. He tried to call a doctor, but Jenny grabbed his hand and stopped him. She was afraid her secret would be discovered. He had no choice but to hold her tightly, until she lost consciousness in his arms. Now truly terrified, he finally called for an ambulance. The doctor arrived, saw she had a severe infection, and immediately gave her an injection and rushed her to the hospital. Jenny passed out completely, and her pulse began to fade.
Don't close your eyes, Jenny. Listen to me, Jenny. Now, don't